Hello and welcome to UTD Gets Down to Earth. I am your host, Hannah Z.
An undergraduate GIS major at the University of Texas at Dallas.
And here I am joined by Aarej Syed, who will tell us about his experience about the LPSC. So, can you tell us about yourself, Aarej?
Sure. Well, hello guys. My name is Aarej Syed. I am a junior here at UT Dallas. I'm a CS major. That being said, I am very interested in both astronomy and computer science. With regard to planetary science specifically, I got interested in that through working with meteorites at UTD. I'm the lab manager for the Meteorites Education Research Lab here because I find meteorites really interesting. And yeah, that got me into planetary science, and that got me to present about the meteorite lab at the LPSC. It was very exciting.
So, can you tell us what exactly is the Lunar Planetary Science Conference?
Okay, so basically the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference, it's an annual conference that takes place in the Woodlands, suburb of Houston. Basically, this conference, you have people who study the moon and like other moons, other asteroids, other planets. They come to the LPSC and they get to discuss the new research they're doing. That's basically the main component. So for me, for example, I got to see a bunch of different talks where people would they talk about their interesting novel research that they're doing in planetary science. For this specific LPSC, there were a few topics that were particularly in focus. For example, there was a lot of focus on asteroid samples because of how the US retrieved samples from the asteroid Bennu during the OSIRIS-REx mission. Scientists have been studying those samples, so they got to present their findings at the LPSC. There was also a lot of focus on Venus and the icy moons of the solar system, such as Europa and Enceladus. With the icy moons of the solar system, there's this mission Clipper that will be visiting Europa. So that's why there's interest there. And I believe for Venus, they also do want to start sending missions there again. I don't know too much about that. My point is, when you're at the LPSC, you get to hear about the new research that's going on, and you can also kind of see what direction is planetary science going at the moment.
Why did you want to attend the LPSC?
So basically, I'll say like this because as I said earlier, because of the meteorite lab, I've been very interested in planetary science for a while now. So Dr. Stern, who's been my professor and he's also co-director of the meteorite lab, he's mentioned to me before that, hey, you might like going to the meteorite lab, to the LPSC. In the past, I never really considered that a possibility though, because I had nothing to present there. Then, one day, Dr. Stern said, hey, you're the lab manager for the meteorite lab, and we are educating people about meteorites in a unique way. You should present about that at the LPSC. So it was mainly because of his suggestion that I thought, hey, this is actually possible for me. I can make a poster and present it there. So yeah, that's what I did. I wrote an abstract. I co-wrote it with Dr. Stern and Dr. Griffin. Dr. Griffin is the other co-director of the Meteorite Lab. And then I worked on a poster. I had a lot of help with the poster though. Like I yeah, so actually Anna, you were a big help on the poster.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, also my friends Rob and Shrita. Yeah. I mean yeah, because of all you guys. So yeah, in the end I had a poster and then Yeah, the problem with the LPSC is that it's a very interesting conference. It's also really expensive for undergraduate students to attend. Luckily, the honors college at UTD was kind enough to fund me going there, which meant that I was able to go to the LPSC and present my poster there. So I mean, yeah, that's what led me to present at the LPSC. It's a combination of I was already interested in planetary science, and I had like something interesting to say, thanks to the meteorites lab and what we do, and also I had a lot of support from other people.
So, what kind of sessions did you attend?
So a nice thing about the LPSC is that there's like a wide variety of sessions, and they were all covering like a bunch of different topics. I'll say off the top of my head, one particular topic I was really interested in was the icy moons of the solar system. There were a few sessions about those. Because, as I mentioned earlier, we are sending a mission to Europa Clipper, so people are particularly interested in those. There was also, and as I mentioned earlier, there were also some sessions about like the asteroid sample retrieval missions. We had like people doing interesting research on like samples of Bennu. And and yeah, there was also like very interesting sessions on Venus too. There was also one thing which I went into it not thinking I'd be super interested, but I ended up being very interested, was the process of like finding finding sites on Earth that are analogs for sites on Mars, for example. Like specifically, I remember I saw this one presentation where they found like a field of volcanic sand in California. It was near an extinct volcano. It was near a town called Fossil Falls, I believe. And like, yeah, they noticed that the dunes in this field were pretty similar to dunes on Mars. Like, I don't remember fully, but that was kind of the gist of it, if I remember correctly. And so they were studying the properties of the sand to see if it's like a good analog for Martian regolith or Martian soil. So that and that so yeah, there were like a lot of really interesting talks over there. In the like icy moons too, they addressed a lot of things where like I hadn't really thought about them, but then like they brought it up and I was thinking, oh wait, that's a good point. Why do things happen like that? Like for example, there was one talk I saw where he was talking basically they were talking about if you have like an icy moon and it's like solid ice and then it has like a rocky core, how do you get like a liquid ocean to form inside that? Because before then I just took it for granted that tidal friction happens to the moon, heats it up, that causes a liquid ocean to form inside. But it's a bit more complicated than that because like tidal friction can stretch and squeeze the moon as much if it's like very rigid.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So there was like so yeah, there were lots of interesting sessions and I learned a lot of new things from them.
Speaking of, do these sessions contain any free food? And was there any free food in the LPSC?
I'm glad you asked. So on the Sunday, on the very first day of the LPSC, they had kind of like a welcoming reception. And over there, they actually had a very like long taco bar kind of set up, or no, you could get like a tortilla, put all the ingredients you want in there, and have yourself a nice taco. That was like a that was like a very nice dinner. I had like uh, 3 or 4 tacos that day. It was great. For like the rest of the LPSC, they didn't have dinners like that, but they did like give out cookies before the plenary sessions. Oh yeah, and like for context, like there were like in the LPSC, they had like both specialized oral sessions where each session would be like specialized for a specific topic, and the main target audience is people who already have some background in it. With the plenary sessions, though, those would also be about a specific topic, but the targeted audience is everyone. So the idea is that everyone can like see this and understand what's going on. So yeah, for these, they rolled out all the stops. They got chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, sugar cookies, the whole shebang.
That does sound delicious. I want to ask, did you meet any interesting people there?
Yeah, I met some like interesting people. Off the top of my head, one interesting person I met was Case Velton. He's a researcher from the UC Berkeley. I actually met him on Sunday during the welcoming reception because he was eating at the same table we were at. So I struck up a conversation with him. So yeah, he was actually studying some of the samples brought back from Bennu, which was really interesting. Specifically, he was analyzing, yeah, and a lot of like the advanced stuff kind of went over my head, but my understanding is that he's studying the presence of cosmogenic radionuclides in the Bennu samples, where basically cosmogenic radionuclides are radioactive isotopes that are formed when you have like cosmic rays hitting atoms in Bennu. I believe he was like looking at these and analyzing these to see like how long they were exposed to space. So I thought the research was really, I thought it was really cool research, and it was awesome that like already on my first day at the LPSC, I was talking to a scientist who did this sort of stuff, and also like a case he gave me a lot of very helpful advice on the LPSC. So, I mean, Case, if you happen to be listening to this, thank you for that.
Interesting. So, another question I have is, do you know any space jokes?
Space jokes. So I know I have one, but it's not a very good one. I will still tell it to you, though. Okay. What did the planetary scientists say? The small primitive achondrite.
What did it say?
He said, wow, Urielite. The joke here is that Urielites are a kind of primitive achondrite.
Yes, that is. Did you tell anyone else about that joke?
I told a few people this joke. I told Dr. Stern this joke. He wasn't a fan. I think I told Case the joke. I think he liked it. But I did tell this joke to like a couple other people at the LPSC as well. Well, and the reception for puns is like that's like mildly funny or that's bad, but also kind of funny, So reactions were along those lines.
Interesting. So, would you attend the LPSC again?
Definitely. I felt that I know like this word is used very frequently, but I still feel it's appropriate for here. The LPSC was very inspiring because like the idea of like going into this advanced planetary science research always felt very kind of abstract and fictional to me. I mean, logically, I know what happens, but it's like that felt worlds away from me. Then when I was here and I started like hearing about all this research, that made me actually want to participate in this kind of stuff. Makes me want to like read into more what's the latest stuff that's going on. And now it's like how do I participate in research? How do I like further the field of knowledge? So yeah, I really do want to go to the LPSC again because it's made me much more interested in actively participating in planetary science research.
Would you recommend other undergraduates going to LPSC?
So I will say that, yeah, I think the LPSC experience is great. I highly recommend it if you are interested in planetary science or lunar science, because you'll hear, oh yeah, as I mentioned before, you will hear about a lot of interesting research there. But then also the attendees are very, yeah, I noticed that the attendees of the LPSC in general, they were very enthusiastic about planetary science, right? They loved like researching the stuff, and they also love like sharing the knowledge and talking to other people. And they're also very like respectful to each other as well. They take each other seriously. I think it's a very great environment for science. So yeah, even if you're like a beginner to planetary science, it's still like a really nice experience. Only issue is, as I mentioned earlier, especially if you're an undergraduate, LPSC is pretty expensive. So if you want to go, you probably need some kind of financial support. As I mentioned earlier, in my case, at the honors college at UTD very generously funded my journey there. So that's why I was able to present there.
Oh,
So yeah, if you have that kind of support and you are interested in hearing about planetary science, I highly recommend going.
that's nice to hear. Well, thank you for being in this podcast today. I appreciate your time, Arj.
Of course, I'm glad to be here.